Hello and welcome to episode 42 of Jedi Eternal. I'm one of your hosts, Andrew Bullen, alongside Braxton Size Noodles Taylor.
Wait, what? Braxton, what?
Size Noodles.
I want to know what you're saying. Size noodles?
Yeah, that's the singer from the...
Oh!
Go ahead, give him a little taste. Or also known as Miss Snooty.
Okay, I didn't realize that was its name.
He was just flat out singing it a minute ago, so...
I didn't know what you were referring. I'm like, I didn't know that character even had a name.
Oh, now you know.
I know.
Well, hope everyone is...
Say rice noodles? What was it called?
Rice noodles. Rice noodles. Hope everyone is having a wonderful week. Hope you're enjoying the weekend. What a week it's been for us here at Jedi Eternal. Yeah. We had an insane Thursday evening, as I'm sure many of you have heard. A lot of insane stuff came out of Disney Investor Day. It was a live stream, basically because there was no Star Wars Celebration. There was no Disney or D23. Basically, all of their big announcements came last night, or sorry, for you guys, it would have been 2 nights ago. Right. And it was during this Disney Investor Day. Yeah. And what we ended up getting is about 10 different Star Wars titles. Yeah.
10 some different series, and one of them being a movie.
Yeah, and some of those are things that we already knew were confirmed. We just got a little more information. Some were completely new. Some were we've heavily speculated on. Yeah. Just a mixture. And we're going to jump into all those. So today's going to be a little different. Right. We're not having our news, rumors, releases, main topic. We're throwing all that to the side. We're just talking about Disney Investor Day. For our Mandalorian review, we are going to have a special side episode just specifically for that review. Yeah. We're going to be posting that right after we post this, so you'll see it there. And it's going to have just that review on there. It's about 35-ish minutes long, around that, so you can go check that out. But yeah, this is just Disney Investor. We're going to dive in deep. We're going to talk about it, speculate about it, and just have some fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you ready, Braxton?
Yeah, I was just going to say, just off the top, here, before we get too deep into it, I was going to say, I didn't realize how crazy this was going to be.
No, I don't think any of us did.
I mean, I knew that there were going to be some stuff dropped, obviously, right? But we had kind of like speculated and thought that, this would be pretty big, but man, like I said, of the 10 things that were announced, were like I'd say at least half, if not the majority, was stuff we didn't even know about. It was pretty crazy.
Well, and Disney Investor Day in the past has been a little less. I mean, usually we'll get a couple updates, but not anything to this extent. But again, it's because of. I mean, honestly, it's because of what has happened with COVID this year is why we're getting this. Because these other big conferences like Celebration didn't happen. Right. And normally a lot of this stuff
D23 as well
would have happened at these conferences.
Yeah.
And so instead we're getting it all compiled in one evening at this thing. So
it was awesome.
It was
we were
really
tapping our little
surprising.
fingers off the entire night trying to get everything out. So that was interesting.
So anyways, really exciting stuff. Me and Braxton have not talked about any of this yet.
No, not at all.
We have not talked about a single one of these.
This is raw.
This is completely raw. We have saved it. We have held it inside until this moment.
Like a bottle rocket.
And we're now going to talk. We're going to have our theories and just have some fun with it. I'm super excited. Let's do it.
Let's do it. Also, as we get into it, I just want to say we did ask you guys for some questions related to this. So as we go along and we talk about each movie or series, those questions that were related to those specific topics, we will talk about those.
Yeah. So we are going. We're using StarWars.com to kind of read off some of these. So it's a very credible source. Right. Any information that we're reading here, you can go ahead and consider to be true because again, it's coming from StarWars.com. Right. And we're not doing it by the order Kathleen Kennedy presented them. We're just going to do it in the order that Star Wars has it listed here.
Right, and the article is called Future Lucasfilm Projects Revealed. So if you want to go to that specific article, you can while listening.
Right. So jumping right in, the very first thing that we have here, which was one of the biggest surprises to me, is that so we're getting a Star Wars theatrical release in 2023, Christmas 2023. December 22nd, I believe.
Yeah.
To be exact.
Wow.
And and it is going to be Rogue Squadron.
Yeah.
Directed by
crazy.
the director of Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
Patty Jenkins.
Yeah.
And so let me just read what we have here. It says, the next Star Wars feature film will be Rogue Squadron, directed by Patty Jenkins. The story will introduce a new generation of starfighter pilots as they earn their wings and risk their lives in a boundary-pushing, high-speed thrill ride and move the saga into the future era of the galaxy.
Yeah, very cool. Very cool.
Whoa.
Yeah, a lot there. And you know what's really cool is, you're thinking like, first of all, why Rogue Squadron's what makes her qualified? What's actually really cool. I actually watched the little trailer thing they had of her.
And she released.
Yeah, she released that. Which was interesting.
Disney wasn't the ones that did it. Like, she already had this ready to go, waiting for this announcement.
Hey, can I, just while we're talking about this, can I put this out there?
So pretty cool. But.
Yeah. Basically her father was in the Air Force, from my understanding, and he was a fighter pilot. And long story short, she gave this whole thing about how, she would watch her father fly before he went into war and stuff like that, and how it was the most exciting thing for her, and how she had always wanted to make a fighter pilot movie, and one of the most action-packed, awesome things to honor fighter pilots. And she's like, I just had never found that. I'd never found, the right story. And she's like, and I've always been a huge Star Wars fan my whole life. So it's like, so when this thought came up, this kind of the storyboard came up, she's like, I want that. I want to do it.
Sure.
And to me, that's awesome because she said she loves Star Wars. I don't know much about her, right? Enough to tell her whether she does or not. And someone says they love Star Wars, I'm sure they do, right? But what's cool is that not only does she love Star Wars, she's very passionate about the subject matter of fighter pilots too.
Exactly.
So, and this is just my opinion, but somebody coming into it like this is probably going to make a pretty good, solid fighter pilot movie based around Star Wars.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying?
And we know Wonder Woman was a great movie.
Oh yeah.
This next Wonder Woman that's coming out very soon has already been getting reviews, and they're saying it's really good.
Yeah.
So we know that she is a skilled director, and I think this is going to be in good hands.
I agree.
A couple things about this that really excites me. Number one, we are seeing another movie it's just that. It's just one movie.
Right.
It's not a trilogy, at least that we know of.
Right.
Right now, it's just one movie. And back after Solo, we wondered if Star Wars would have the guts to continue to do that.
Right.
In this kind of like Rogue One. But here, it looks like they are. And I'm excited to see that.
Yeah,
I'm excited to see
absolutely.
that, hey, we can still get a movie telling a singular story here, focused on a certain group of characters,
sure,
and be able to do a one and done if so desired.
Sure.
And I think that's great. I'm glad that it doesn't have to necessarily be a trilogy to come out theatrically.
And here's the thing I'll say is, like, whenever you do make a movie, right, and you say this is going to be part of the new trilogy, right, you're kind of locking yourself into that, right? So what if it comes out and people don't love it, right? They don't love the story idea. They don't, now you're locked into 2 more movies after that, So yeah, I do think it's a smart idea to get more Star Wars actual feature films out there, but at the same time, give yourself the flexibility of kind of doing what you want to do. And I will say this, and this is just kind of me being stupid and cynical like usual, but it is funny. Like, we were supposed to get Taika Waititi's movie in 2023, but now it appears we're not going to. Now we're getting this one, and now I think it's just one of the things where, like, yeah, we still don't really know what we want to do quite yet, so we're just going to throw this movie in there to kind of satiate your appetite.
Well, and the thing with like the Taika Waititi movie is I don't know that they've ever truly officially said it was coming in 2023. I think we just assumed that was probably the first one.
Yeah, true.
And because this is such a surprise, right? Like,
oh yeah, it's a huge.
Like,
surprise.
we have not been even talking rumors about this.
I've never heard anything about this. Yeah, so this is like fresh off the block, baby.
Yeah,
not even rumors. Yeah.
So this one caught us by complete surprise.
Yeah.
And but I'm thrilled. I'm so excited. We still have a long time before this happens.
Sure.
We have a lot of Star Wars we're going to get before this ever happens.
And as you guys will see in the next so long in this podcast, there's a lot of Star Wars coming.
Right. So let's talk about Rogue Squadron for a minute.
Yeah.
Just the idea of Rogue Squadron. Rogue Squadron is as some of you may know, there was some books and stuff specifically about Rogue Squadron, and Wedge Antilles was a big part of that, and a lot of that happened after Return of the Jedi, and that's kind of that period. When do you think this is going to take place?
And it's hard to say.
And here's another question for you. You know, we have Rogue One. This is called Rogue Squadron. Do you think they're going to try to make this almost a spiritual successor to Rogue One, since we have had Rogue One, it was a success? Do you think they're trying to kind of connect these in certain ways that we don't know the connections yet, but maybe they are going to try to link them a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, that's absolutely possible. I mean, because here's the thing, they might completely upend what Rogue Squadron even is, right? And they might go a completely different direction.
Exactly. We can't say for sure what this Rogue Squadron will be, because we can't base it off of legends alone, or even what we know in canon of Rogue Squadron.
Right. Yeah, like I said, because it was kind of based off of the Rogue One team, in the as we see in the movie and stuff like that, right? That's kind of what they're based off of, so to speak. But again, they, like I said, they it could be the spiritual successor, where they take it in a completely different direction, or they might just make it true to legends and to the old lore, and make it directly after episode 6. So it's hard to say. I personally think we're going to get it after episode 6, because there's so much stuff happening after episode 6 right now, right? It's a very saturated timeline. And not necessarily saying that in a bad way, but I'm just saying there's a lot of stuff happening in post episode 6, pre episode 7, right? So it's very possible that is when this will be. Plus, like I said, if you follow Lord, that's when it happens anyway. So, and we have stuff like the Alphabet Squadron and all stuff like that. So I don't know how, if they're going to try to tie anything like that in. I don't know, right? I kind of talking out of my mouth here. I'm not going to act like I know too much about Alphabet Squadron, which Andrew, you'll know more than I will. But anyway, I don't know. That's a good question. I definitely think that it's really up in the air as it sits right now, because they've been willing to change things in the past. You know what I'm saying? So who knows?
Yeah, I think the latest that we've seen Rogue Squadron was actually in the video game Star Wars Squadrons.
Yeah, true.
They make an appearance there with Wedge Antilles. But I think that's in canon as far as we know of the existence of that team. Of course, Luke Skywalker is the one who originally commands Rogue Squadron. They named it Rogue Squadron to honor Rogue One, to honor that team that gave their life for the rebellion.
Sure. Yeah.
And so all of that's cool. For me, it's the time era of this that I'm wondering, because of what Kathleen Kennedy says specifically. And if you go back and read what she says there. Let's read that again. She says, and move the saga into the future era of the galaxy.
She did say that, yeah. She did say that.
So, a couple different ways that could be taken. It could be taken as moving the saga into the future era, meaning the sequel trilogy era.
Sure, yeah. I feel like that could definitely be the case. Or
I think it definitely could, but
yeah.
I wonder if this means actually past the sequel trilogy.
Yeah, and that's definitely something, way she worded it was very open-ended. So it could mean that. Personally, I don't think that makes sense to me.
Yeah. Now, if you look at the cover of this, the title page of it, you see an X-wing. Mm-hmm. People are saying that this is a T-70 X-wing. Okay. Mm-hmm. A T-70 X-wing is not the newest X-wing. The newest X-wing is a T-85. Mm-hmm. So if we're getting a T-70, it makes you kind of wonder if this is set probably after Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
But some people still use T-70s during the sequel trilogy. Poe Dameron had a T-70.
Sure, yeah.
Some others had T-70s.
So like I said, it just makes it hard to say.
And we know Wedge is still around.
Yeah.
And Wedge survives the final battle at Exegol. Mm-hmm. So we could easily get Wedge coming back and leading a new team of fighter pilots after the sequel trilogy.
I think the problem with that, though, would be this. What's the story? Right? And for this standalone movie to occur after the sequel trilogy, that they're going to use this. My point is, like, if this is to occur after the sequel trilogy, this standalone movie is going to set forth precedence of what every other new saga is going to have to come after that. What's the story? Who's the villain? What's going on? And I don't think they're there. I think that's why they're pushing back the Taika Waititi movie, because they don't know what they want to do. So I just don't think it's probable. Not that it's impossible, but I do think it's improbable that it will be after the sequel trilogy, just for that fact alone. Like I said, especially if you follow old canon, it happens after episode 6. So I think that makes the most sense, especially like maybe they're trying to clean up the galaxy, the New Republic trying to go through and fight the remnants of the Empire. I think that kind of makes the most sense to me, because I'm just saying, like, if they're going to do after the sequel trilogy, they're going to have to be able to set precedents for the rest of what comes afterwards. I just don't think they're going to take that big step yet. That's just me, though.
Yeah, clearly, it would be very surprising if this is set after the sequel trilogy, and I wish we'd get a little more. And we might very soon. They might clear up the air a little bit there. Mm-hmm. I was watching some of Star Wars Explained, watching their stream last night, where they were discussing kind of things, which is Alex Damon, and he was basically saying he wasn't really sure, like, and people were like. There was a lot of people like commenting to him saying, "No, it's after," and he's like, "Well, we don't really. There's not anything to truly tell us that it's after Rise of Skywalker."
Right.
They just said push it into a future era, and we don't really know what that means exactly.
Yeah.
So only time will tell. But I'm really excited about this movie.
Sure. Me too.
I'm just glad we have a theatrical release to look forward to. That's always exciting.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think that I really have a lot of faith that this will be great. Again, to make it clear for all of our listeners, though, this isn't the most exciting content that they can release for someone like you and me, who love Jedi first and foremost.
Right.
This will probably
we're not called Rogue Squadron Eternal, okay?
Chances are there's probably not going to even be a Jedi in this movie, right?
Sure. Yeah.
I say there's a high chance of that. But anyway, I'm still excited for it, and we'll have to just continue. We'll keep you guys updated as things go on. But let's move on to our next one, and that is the entitled Taika Waititi film, which we did just mention a minute ago.
Right.
This says a brand new Star Wars feature with acclaimed filmmaker and Academy Award winner Taika Waititi is in development. Taika's approach to Star Wars will be fresh, unexpected, and unique. His enormous talent and sense of humor will ensure that audiences are in for an unforgettable ride.
Yeah, that's hard to interpret, and there's not a whole lot to really even talk about here, because we've known about the Taika Waititi movie for a while now, and it's been kind of pushed back a couple times and stuff, and I think we was on the verge of getting a reveal a while back, but then, all of a sudden, they just like, okay, I think we're changing. It was around the same time that they had pushed back the Kenobi series as well, because I think there's a big planning phase there that a lot of them had some disagreements on stuff. So my point is that we already knew about the movie, but at the same time we didn't know what the movie contained. And with this update through the Investors Day, it's still the same way. We have no clue what it's entitled. We have no clue what era it's going to be in. We have no clue. So I think they just kind of wanted to say, "Hey, this is still happening. It's going to be. It's going to be good."
And she mentioned the future era thing kind of around the same time, like as she was mentioning both these movies, and so I wonder if this may also potentially be in a future era as well.
Sure.
If and we did get like a title of Star Wars on there behind her when they talked about it, and it's like this like purple background with this like. This light blue Star Wars. It looks very, very different, right?
Well, like you said, very unique approach. Yeah.
And so I don't know exactly what that means, but there is one thing I'd like.
Star Wars Ragnarok.
There is one thing. What?
It's a Star Wars Ragnarok.
Yeah. Yeah. You never know.
Yeah.
Let me pull something up real quick that I want you to take a look at. And actually, I would like all of you guys to take a look at it. If you have anything else to say about that, go ahead and say it as I'm looking for this real quick.
I mean, really, for me, there's not a ton to say. I am looking forward to it. I really did enjoy Taika's work on Thor, Ragnarok. I thought that was really fun. And again, a lot of his movies, in my opinion, and a lot of his work is very whimsical. Like I said, let me say what I'm going to say first. A lot of it's pretty whimsical. I mean, there can be really cool story elements and things of that nature, but it's mostly a pretty funny movie. Now, I will kind of combat my own argument by saying Chapter 8 was directed by him on Mandalorian, and that was a really, really good episode. It had some comedic elements, But it was very serious, and there was a huge battle, and it led up to some awesome things about Moff Gideon being revealed and who he is and the Darksaber. So it's not impossible that Taika could make a very serious but well-rounded movie. You know what I'm saying? Because I think my knee-jerk reaction is him making just a really, comedic, silly movie. But it doesn't have to be that. It doesn't have to be a Thor Ragnarok. You know?
Okay, so here's what I wanted you to see.
Okay.
Behind Kathleen Kennedy, as she was talking about this movie, we get a glimpse of this very like planet that's like full of colors, and we also got this shiny thing here.
I do remember that. Yeah.
Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Remember seeing that? It's like this. I don't even know how you would describe that. It's like a diamond shaped like.
I don't know.
Sphere of
a
something.
a diamondoid prism.
Now, here's what I wanted to show you. Because I feel like maybe they just gave us an idea and it gave us a little tease about what this really is. Hold on a second.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
This is a legend book called Dawn of the Jedi Into the Void. Look behind her.
Ooh, interesting. It has that same kind of like diamondoid shape.
Yeah.
Very interesting. See, that one looks a lot less smooth than the other one. But maybe, like I said, it's just an artistic rendition to kind of like throw people off.
But it's similar.
Give a hint.
Now,
do we know what's the contents of that book?
The contents of this book is, so this is where it gets real interesting. This book starts on Tython.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Okay? And it's the ancient Jedi order. Jedi order was founded. So it's the beginning.
The origins of the Jedi.
Which we've heard.
Who was it? The brothers that were going to do that?
Yeah, it was the Game of Thrones guys.
Yeah, I don't remember their names.
Benioff and Weiss.
Yeah.
They were working on an Origins of the Jedi story.
So maybe since they dropped out, Taika kind of picked that up, and especially now that we're getting the Tython drop in Mandalorian, that's actually very interesting. I was not aware of that at first. Wow, that opens up a whole new world of possibilities right there.
That's just something to think about.
Yeah.
Again, that might be nothing. It may.
It's a little far-reaching, but man, why would they include this random diamond-shaped thing?
And then why? Yeah, a lot of this adds up to me.
Yeah.
And we just got Tython and Mandalorian.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
It may not be a coincidence that they did that.
Yeah.
If they're truly thinking we're going to.
There's like, does this look like Jedi to you? Does this look Jedi? And like, what is Jedi? And kind of gives credence to the origins of the Jedi, and now we might be getting.
So
that's very, very cool.
Yeah, very cool, right?
Yeah.
So that's something to think about. Maybe it ends up being far into the future. Whatever this is, I don't think it's in any of the eras that we know of right now.
Yeah,
that's just my opinion.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
I think his movie is going to be something completely new.
Well, again, let me read that again, but it says something fresh, something unexpected, and ... unique. So, I mean,
what more unique than starting the
origins of the Jedi? Yeah, exactly. I mean,
which will be very different.
That would be very different. Yeah. So I could see that happening. I could see that happening.
Okay, but let's move on. If you guys have any thoughts on that, let us know.
Sure.
We would like to hear from you guys on that. Maybe some of you have recently read that book. Maybe you can give us a little. It's been so long since I've touched any of those Legends books. I barely remember sometimes the contents of them.
Yeah, exactly. So the next thing that we have up on our list here is an update on the Obi-Wan-Kenobi show. So now also we know that it actually is just called our shining jewel, the diamond in the rough. It actually is. We keep calling like, wait, I want to show it. I wanted to keep calling it the Obi-Wan Kenobi show. It's like literally called Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Well, so they have been calling it Kenobi, right? I mean, that's kind of what it's been called.
Yeah.
Now we know it's called Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yeah, I mean, it's its full name. So
hey, I'm okay with it.
I am too. I just don't know what all to say because like I'm just thrilled. I'm excited just to hear it even talked about. See the little like desert sand colored title, like, oh man, my heart is just like, yes, I'm so excited. But there is a huge announcement. It was a rumor for a very long time, but they confirmed it at Disney Investor Day, and that is none other but than Hayden Christensen is in fact coming back to reprise the role of Darth Vader.
Yes. So excited.
Dude, I am pumped. I am so pumped.
Yeah, so let me read this here. It says, officially titled Obi-Wan-Kenobi. The series begins 10 years after the dramatic events of Star Wars Revenge of the Sith, where he faced his greatest defeat, the downfall and corruption of his best friend and Jedi apprentice, Anakin Skywalker, turned evil Sith Lord Darth Vader. The series is directed by Deborah Chow, and it says this will truly be a day long remembered, as it was confirmed that Hayden Christensen will be returning as Darth Vader.
Before you read that last part, let's reference a question we got this week.
Okay.
And we'll lead into that.
Cool.
Okay?
Yeah, let's do it.
So the first question of the 4 that we have comes from Alex Mason, who says, now it is confirmed, how would you like to see Darth Vader incorporated into the Kenobi series? So we have a lot of thoughts and opinions. We, of course, wanted to see him get referenced back into the Clone Wars flashbacks. We thought that would be so awesome to see. But to know that he's actually going to be Vader, it's not even just flashbacks, but he's actually going to be Vader, it's going to be very interesting. And of course, I do think that he's going to be, as we know in the comics, he's searching a lot for Padme, and then later on, depending on the timeline, I'm not 100% sure, fresh up on my timeline.
This would be...
Is this after Boba tells him about Luke?
No. This is way before all that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So the reason I said that is because it is difficult to know exactly what capacity Vader's going to be in this. But Kathleen Kennedy herself said about Vader what?
Oh, sorry. Yeah. So she says this will be the rematch of the century.
The rematch of the century. So you're telling me, I mean, just by what this sounds, that Vader and Obi-Wan Kenobi are going to fight again.
Right.
And I don't get it. I want it. I want it to happen, but I don't get how it would happen. And we have talked about this before, because
we've talked about. We speculate on this for a while.
Yeah, we're like, how in the world we would want to see it? Don't get me wrong, but how could Vader fight Obi-Wan without him again revealing his position, without revealing Luke and all this stuff, right? Like
let me give you a little more information here. That somebody has already interviewed. Oh, sorry. I'm looking for this. It's making me mess up my words here. Just let me find it real quick. So they interviewed Ewan McGregor, and he had some things to say here. Let me just read it. Oh, actually, sorry. They didn't review him. It's the video, the sizzle reel that we could not view.
Oh, okay.
Somebody has a description of what went on there. So
it is illegal. But I want it.
So let me read this.
Okay.
It says in the video, Ewan McGregor acknowledged the heavy desire from the fans to see him don the Jedi robes again. He says, "There's a hunger for this character to come back. The fans have been waiting long enough, you know."
Yes, oh yeah, we have.
And Deborah Chow said, "This is quite a dark time that we are coming into with him. Just being a Jedi, it's not safe. There's Jedi hunters out there."
Interesting.
Then it showed some concept art depicting the Great Jedi Purge from Episode 3.
Yeah.
It says the concept art shows a Jedi lightsaber blade ignited, defending a trio of younglings as the newly anointed Darth Vader marches on the Jedi Temple with a legion of clone troopers. This makes you wonder if we're going to see the Purge maybe again.
That would be very interesting.
From like another perspective or something.
Yeah, I don't know whose perspective that would be exactly, but yeah.
And then it says McGregor says that Obi-Wan's sole job is to protect the son of his fallen student. He says he has this one task left, which is to keep Luke safe. And it goes on, it says, more concept art shows a stingray-like creature floating above slave workers toiling away in the barren, sandy landscape of Tatooine. Here is where is interesting, and this answers a lot of questions for us. It says, we start on Tatooine, and we go on a adventure.
Interesting. So we start on
Tatooine.
See, now this is interesting because we had talked about this before.
And then, real quick, McGregor teased over a glimpse at a watery planet where armed soldiers fire upon a mini-armed sea creature.
Interesting.
So Kenobi is leaving Tatooine.
That's what I'm saying. Well, there you go. So we had talked about that, and we thought like the only way that would make sense for him to fight Vader or to do anything at all would be for him to leave Tatooine. But man, that's so much crazy implications right there. It's almost like he's like betraying his duty to protect Luke. Why does if they do end up fighting, right? how do they justify him in episode 5 saying, you know, I can't remember what he says, but basically like he hadn't seen him since the first last time.
Let's move on here. So then it says, and this is Deborah Chow, we couldn't tell the story of Obi-Wan Kenobi without addressing Anakin or Vader.
Oh, yeah.
Chow added over an image of the armored Vader seated on a throne as he communicates with a hologram, possibly his master, the reigning emperor of the Galactic Empire. So we may even be getting some more of the Emperor, which would be cool to have Ian McDermott back.
Why not?
I mean, why not,
dude,
right?
Get the trio back together.
It back. Yeah, I love it.
It sounds like he's like probably on Mustafar at that point because he's on his throne.
I would think so. I would say that's probably on Mustafar.
Yeah.
And then McGregor says the most beautiful thing of all is that it's brought me back together with Hayden. It'll be amazing to bring those characters back together again, very unexpectedly. Having another swing at each other might be quite satisfying for everybody. Ooh. We hope that you enjoyed it as much as we're going to enjoy making it. I got chills right now just talking about it.
Well, to kind of compliment that real quick, I was just going to say, it was always such an incredible journey playing Anakin Skywalker, said Christensen. Of course, Anakin and Obi-Wan weren't on the greatest...
so this is from Hayden.
This is from Hayden's point of view.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And he says, of course, Anakin and Obi-Wan weren't on the greatest of terms when we last saw them. It would be very interesting to see what an amazing director like Deborah Chow has in store for us all. I'm excited to work with you, and once again, it feels good to be back, baby.
Yes. Does he really say baby at the end?
No, he doesn't say baby.
Okay.
I said baby, but I felt it was appropriate. But
it was appropriate.
man, man, I'm just so excited,
so
dude.
Exciting.
I'm so excited.
So I think I know some people are going to throw a fit about Obi-Wan Kenobi and Darth Vader fighting again. I already know some people are gonna throw absolute.
That just doesn't make sense,
it.
like canonically speaking, for episode 5 and blah blah blah. You know,
I think Darth Vader said, last time we fought, I was
the learner,
but a learner.
Now I am the master.
And let's look at this. Let's look at this in a canon perspective here. Let's look at the timeline. Okay, let's take a look at the timeline here.
Let's do it.
And I'm gonna kind of give my own opinion on this.
All right. Go ahead.
Revenge of the Sith, 19 years before Darth Vader says that. Okay, so 19-year span between Revenge of the Sith and A New Hope.
Yeah. Oh wait, yeah. I kept saying episode 5. I mean episode 4. Anyway,
yes. It's okay.
Yeah, I know I'm not good with numbers.
And then, so we're talking 10 years after Revenge of the Sith. So 10 years after Revenge of the Sith would be 9 years before A New Hope.
Okay.
So this takes place 9 years before A New Hope.
Interesting.
Which means Luke Skywalker is 10 years old.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's definitely still like a learner, at least in some context, right?
Well, yeah, here's the thing. 10 years in, they have this fight, they have this duel, whatever. He comes back almost another 10 years later. Mm-hmm. Yeah. He's going to have learned a lot more since then, right?
I was but the learner, yeah. Well, especially in the ways of the Sith, too. I mean, he's learning all from scratch, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. 10 years into it,
I think that this can still work. Yeah. And what he says there can still work.
And here's the thing. I mean,
think about it. 9 years is a long time.
It is, yeah, especially like for in this specific instance in Vader's life. But I was gonna say, who knows? I mean, maybe they fight and Obi-Wan bests him again.
Well, I'd say there's a good chance that will be the case, right? I mean,
right.
I mean, we know Kenobi's fine, but we also know Darth Vader's fine. But I would say,
I'm not saying either one kills one or the other, but I'm saying like, what if they fight and then he like actually bests him and like knocks him down or whatever, and that's why he calls him that. Still the learner. He's still learning. He's still he's still able to get defeated, but now I'm the master. I'm the one that's going to be able to take you out. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Maybe it was more symbolic rather than literal.
But think about this, Braxton. What this is going to give us is the ultimate battle of Obi-Wan Kenobi and Darth Vader that we've wanted for so long.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, because in episode 4, like I said, I got that one right this time. A New Hope, we got them like hitting two colored sticks together a little bit. And
it's because of what it is, because of what it started. They didn't have all the history, all this stuff. It is what it is, right? But we've always wanted the true next battle after Revenge of the Sith, right?
All I'm going to say is this better be the most amazingly choreographed thing I've ever seen in my life.
It has to be. I mean, this, and just think about it. I think we're going to see the raw power of Darth Vader in this.
Oh, yeah.
But I think we're going to see the raw power of Kenobi as well, and I think it's going to be on another level I think out of any Jedi battle we've gotten, this has to be the most crazy.
Oh, I agree.
I mean, we're talking about two very, very highly skilled Force users here.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we're talking about one of the greatest Jedi Masters of all time versus one of the most powerful Force users of all time.
Yeah.
One of the greatest Sith Lords of all time. Okay. Against each other. This has to be crazy.
I agree.
You know what I'm saying?
And like I said, 10 years into the desert, I guarantee you, because he can't use his sabers, I'm sure, Obi-Wan has been relying on the Force a lot more, training, meditating, conversing with Qui-Gon.
He's been training. It's not like he's been sitting there not using the Force. He's been training. He's been training with Qui-Gon for years at this point.
Yeah.
And
so I'm just saying, man, they're like honing themselves and getting ready.
So and let's look at what else takes place right during this time period here of 10 years before A New Hope. Solo, the movie, takes place exactly 10 years before, or you could say 10 years after Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah.
So
it was around that same time-ish.
So that's interesting.
Yeah.
Those are around the same time. I don't think there's any connections there. I don't think that would...
No, and here's the thing. The only connection... Pardon me, I'm sorry. The only connection that really could be made was the whole like Maul thing from Solo, but like that doesn't even make sense because I feel like if Maul knew where Kenobi was, he'd be like searching him out like that, you know?
Right. Well, we've already seen where Maul finally figures out where Kenobi's at, right? So, exactly. So I don't think that will be the case. But that's really the only thing that's right there with it. We do have a novel, A New Dawn, which is kind of the start of Kanan's story.
Yeah.
And Lost Stars actually starts that same, but it kind of moves past that pretty quick.
Yeah.
So really it's a pretty untouched area of time. And so I think there is going to be a lot of room there to mess with. And I'm just so excited. We've said it before, and we're going to continue to say it. This is peak Star Wars for you and me.
Absolutely.
This is the most exciting thing that we will get in Star Wars probably ever. You know what I mean? Like,
it really is.
Like after this, I don't know that anything will excite us more.
The mixture of like true, real, powerful Jedi versus Sith fighting one another, mixed with the nostalgia of those characters, mixed with one of them being honestly, Vader is one of my favorite characters.
Yeah,
and Obi-Wan is my favorite character.
Exactly.
So I don't know, man. Yeah, I don't know what Chuck's better.
It feels like a continuation of her childhood.
It really does. It really
does. It's the next step,
yeah.
And it's like we grew up with those movies. We grew up with these characters, and now we're getting the next true like step in that.
Yeah, next installment, so to speak, of that story.
And we have progressed along in our lives too, and it all just kind of clicks together. And I'm so excited to see what that is. And some of you may be thinking, "Wow, I can't believe they were spending so much time on this on Kenobi, the one that we already knew about." I'm not sorry.
Well, honestly, I'm not sorry either.
Listen, if you listen to this podcast, you should know by now we really like Kenobi, and we're always going to talk about it.
I don't know what this podcast is going to be like whenever this comes out. I don't think we could even say anything else. You know,
it's going to be crazy times. But so now, of course, it is just where this story goes. It will be very interesting. Does Luke get like taken? Something like that.
Yeah, that would be huge.
It makes you wonder if Luke does get taken. And think about this: Jedi have been shown in the past to be able to like make people forget and different things.
Well, and that's what I was gonna say, because he grows up to be like, oh, I want to go to Tashi Station. Like, I feel like someone who's like been through like traumatic stuff, like being taken as a child and stuff, would not be like that. But you're right. Maybe he used to kind of the Force to. I think
wipe
his mind there.
I think if Luke is in this and he is taken or something, he would have to somehow forget, because otherwise it just wouldn't add up. It wouldn't make any sense.
Yeah, exactly.
But that seems to be a good reason to make Obi-Wan Kenobi leave Tatooine.
Yeah.
Other than that, it would just be Darth Vader maybe is just hunting him down. He's just ready to take him out. You know? And I'd say we're gonna get maybe. Well, let me look at my timeline again here. Yeah, we could do that. Could totally be possible.
What?
There's a good chance we will probably see some Inquisitors. Obi-Wan Kenobi's going to be taking out Inquisitors.
Yes, that would actually be very cool. But yeah, it would definitely fall into that timeline
and that,
for sure.
And again, that's an opportunity to see Obi-Wan taking out some Sith. I mean, not actual Sith,
not true Sith, but dark side users.
Dark side, like people with red lightsabers. Okay, that's seeing
mean
Obi-Wan Kenobi be able to take him out. That's what we want to see.
Absolutely.
And
like I said, and we talked about this before as well. But what could possibly get him to leave is also maybe something to do with Leia as well.
True. Yeah.
Leia
it could very well end up being actually that Leia's in trouble.
Yeah.
And he's like, well,
Well, again, okay. So okay. Think about it, right? I want to go to Tashi Station, little baby, right? But then look at Leia. She's the princess. She's like fighting the rebellion.
Yeah. The only thing though is they're both 10 years old, so they're gonna remember these events.
That's my point, right? Like Leia, look at the contrast between Leia and Luke, right? Leia is like way more grown up. She's hardened. She's like fighting in the rebellion. That's my point. Like maybe if anything, it makes more sense that she gets kidnapped and she's a little more hardened later on. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but Leia doesn't even know Kenobi or anything though, so that's
true. Yeah.
Bell talks about how he has an old friend in Rogue One, and and so. I don't know.
That's a good question. I
think there's a good chance we're seeing Luke and Leia in this.
I would imagine we're going to see.
I'd say we're going to at least see a little glimpse of them, and maybe they have nothing to do with the story, but I bet we still see them.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of makes it like why not?
And
right?
you could see, I could totally see Kenobi seeing Bell. Maybe they meet up at some point, stuff like that. I could see that.
I agree.
But who knows? Maybe he'll fly to Dagobah and meet up with Yoda for a little bit. Why not?
Yeah, it's possible. Why not? Yeah, absolutely.
It could totally be possible.
And maybe neither of them get stolen, but something happens, and like the threat of Vader is really apparent, and he needs to get wisdom from Yoda, or maybe guidance
whatever
from
happens.
Yoda,
It's gonna be so big that Kenobi's gonna be like, I have to leave.
Yeah, something has to happen
to do this,
enough,
and it's gonna be huge. It's got to be something very huge. But anyways, let's move on to the next thing. But guys, don't worry, we'll be speculating on that for
quite a bit.
For probably at this point like years to come, because it's probably not coming out till.
I thought the last time we heard something was maybe 2023, but I think that was another speculation.
I would say we're getting this late 22 at the very best, but I would say 2023 is much more likely.
So let's move on. The next one we're going to refer is actually the Ahsoka series. Now, before we dive too much into that, we have a question about that, and it's one of those questions where I think a lot of it can be answered as we talk about it, so I want to just go ahead and get it out there. So Kristen Perry says, do you think the Ahsoka story would be a series, like a one-season series, or is it going to be a movie? Which we know the answer to that. We'll get to it. And also, let's see here. Would this be in her future that we don't know of yet, or just a connector with info that we already know? So to some degree, we will... the first part of the question we for sure can answer. The second part is going to be a little bit of speculation. So I'm just going to read this here off of the article, but it says, after making her long-awaited live-action debut in The Mandalorian, Ahsoka Tano's story, written by Dave Filoni, will continue in a limited series starring Rosario Dawson and executive produced by Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau. So boom. First part immediately answered. So it's going to be a limited series, so like a one-season type thing, probably a short series, like 6 episodes, maybe 6 to 8, and that's it, right? And then you say, is it going to be her future? Well, it does say it will continue her story. So I'm going to assume on the second part that it will be after the events of Mandalorian, which is going to be a little bit difficult, in my opinion, to do if that is the case, because we don't know the end result of Mandalorian, right? Even after season 2 ends, we don't know what happens in season 3. So unless she goes just into a complete opposite spectrum of the galaxy, which may be the case, right? I don't know how they're going to do it, but I have full faith in them. But yeah, so it is, instead of a movie, it will be a limited series. So probably just a one and done run. And then in terms of her story, I personally believe that this Ahsoka story is going to be in her future. So as we know, it is live action. It's going to probably feature the same exact stuff we've seen from that one episode. So Drew, what do you think? Do you think this is going to be after the events of The Mandalorian in terms of where we saw her, or is it going to be before, or what do you think?
I'm leaning towards after. Like we've talked about, and again, this is something that we've speculated on for a long time.
Yeah,
the rumors were right, as you'll see through this. A lot of our rumors that we've been talking about were right in to some degree.
That's why you listen to us, folks.
And so a lot of this didn't really come as a surprise. Ahsoka being one of those that I was not surprised at all. I was expecting,
especially once we saw her in Mandalorian. I'm yeah, we're definitely gonna get this.
And so and just like I had said after that episode, I said, we're gonna get the announcement for her for very soon, and here we are.
Yeah,
and
exactly. So just a few weeks later, yeah.
And so what I want to say about this is, well, let me put it this way. This is what they said. This is what Kathleen Kennedy said. She said, she mentioned they brought up Ahsoka and they brought up Rangers of the New Republic. I'm going to go ahead and bring that one into this because I think they kind of
they're similar.
I think they're tied together in a sense.
Yeah,
they're both being produced by Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau. So consider this the beginning of what we talked about with the Mandalorian, the connected universe here. I think this is part of this. Yeah. It said, this is what they said. They said the interconnected series will take place in the same time period as The Mandalorian and will culminate in a climatic story event.
Oh, really?
Okay.
Interesting.
That's what she said. That's what she said during the thing. So what I take from this is Ahsoka after that, the continuation of her story. What is Ahsoka doing? Well, she's going after Thrawn.
Right.
We've seen some of these. We've seen some New Republic soldiers here lately. There's that one guy that was with Dave Filoni. I can't remember his name right now, but he's the one that gave the badge to Cara Dune. What have we also been talking about in rumors? Cara Dune having her own spin-off
that's what I was
series.
going to say. Is it very possible that this Rangers of the New Republic might very well be the Cara Dune spin-off?
Yes, I do.
Or at least heavily feature her.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I think this goes to show it's not just her series.
Yeah.
But this is the one that they've been talking about. This is what the Cara Dune spinoff is.
Well, especially once they started talking about like giving her the badge to the New Republic and kind of sliding over to her,
Exactly. And we talked about how all these little visual indicators and how they kind of held on them and they zoomed out and they kind of held on Ahsoka and on Cara Dune on those episodes. Yep. It gave you the sense of this is moving
into
a continuation. There's a continuation of their own path for these stories.
And I'm very much hoping we're going to see those two knucklehead New Republic pilots from episode 2 or chapter 10.
I definitely think we are. I think
really
we
hope we see that. I bet that'll be like a reoccurring like comedic element to that show. My opinion. I think that could definitely be something.
And so, but then it talks about how they're interconnected, and then it ends with a big event. And so, to me, that's kind of like the Defenders from the Netflix, where you had a Daredevil series, all these different
Luke
Cage and Jessica Jones, all these things, and then it ended in this Defenders. It was horrible. It didn't go well at all.
It was
the Defenders was a real letdown, but the idea is cool, and I think that of course with this they can really do it. Now, here's the question: What is the final event?
I don't know.
Does it take place in one of these series, or do these series lead up to that event? Does that end up being almost a film in
like
Disney
a movie?
Plus?
Yeah.
Or does it end? Or is it in The Mandalorian season 3?
Ooh, that could be it. Because Mandalorian is obviously the father series of it all right now.
Right.
Kind of branching out off of Mandalorian.
Yeah. Clearly, these I think are still going to connect to The Mandalorian a little bit.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know how much, but clearly these are all kind of set in the same place. Now, the other interesting thing here is, if I remember right, I think she said this. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure she said both of these come out Christmas 20. Oh my goodness, I dropped my phone. Both of these come out Christmas 2021.
Oh, I don't know about that. Yeah.
Sorry if I just like busted your guys' eardrums, because I can see like the thing just like spiked right there. I'm really sorry.
Oh boy.
Can you fact check me on that?
Trying to look at that. Yeah, Ahsoka. Let's see, Ahsoka series release dates. Let's see what that comes up with. Oh, let's see. So Disney announces Ahsoka series starring.
I'm almost positive that's what they said.
I don't know what Andrew started, but now there's like tons of sirens outside. It's like, I think we might be dying. I don't know. Let's see what happens.
I think we may be dying.
I don't know. I can't find it anywhere. Here we go. So release date So let's just read this real quick. So oddly, there's no release date given for the Ahsoka TV series during Disney's investor call, suggesting that we could be in for a bit of a wait before we see what Anakin...
Here we go.
Padawan did next.
This is from The Verge. Disney has yet to say when exactly to expect either Rangers of the New Republic or Ahsoka, but tease that the next chapter of the story will debut Christmas 2021.
Interesting.
So, that being said,
yeah,
I guess it doesn't necessarily mean both of them are coming Christmas 2021, but it sounds like at least one of them will start Christmas 2021. But here's the other thing: we have confirmed, actually, as of today, I think that season 3 is planning to be Christmas of 2021 for Mandalorian season 3.
Yeah, I heard that. I didn't know if that was the case or not, but
so with that being the case, are we going to get like at least maybe 2 of these series at the same time?
Well, it's possible. And like I said, I'm reading on the radiotimes.com, and they say that as an educated guess, radiotimes.com predicts that we would be seeing Ahsoka sometime in 2022, probably after the Mandalorian season 3 release date. So it's possible that maybe it happens post season 3 is ended, or maybe they at the end, they kind of like the end overlaps the beginning type thing. And that could also be possible as well. I don't know. I mean, it's hard to say.
It is hard to say right now. But Ahsoka, as you can see with the emblem there on Ahsoka, it kind of looks world between worlds-ish.
It absolutely
doesn't
does.
it?
It absolutely does.
Unfortunately.
You will always, anytime we bring this up, you'll always hear my lament of World Between Worlds.
Here's the deal. She's only alive because of World Between Worlds.
Yeah,
and
true.
so
it is true.
I wouldn't be surprised if they don't delve into a little more of that with her.
Yeah.
We'll see. But yeah, and for now, I think that's all we can really say about it until we hear more. But I think this is the beginning of that connected universe. Now, the big question is, we heard a lot about a Rebels animated sequel. We did not get this. So my question is the actual Rebels sequel this live action Ahsoka? Because
I don't know.
Because I think if it deals with Thrawn, then technically yes, this is going to be that continuation.
Yeah,
more so than maybe the animated Rebels sequel is not a real thing.
I don't know. That's a good question. I definitely think that there is credence to that assumption. I don't know. I think with it being a limited series, probably 4 or 5 or 6 episodes, I find it hard to believe that they're going to summate the entirety of the Rebels questions with Ezra and Thrawn, and also see what happens to Ahsoka in just a limited series, one season, couple episode thing. Yeah. So I do find it difficult to believe that, but at the same time, I do find it also difficult to believe that they're going to have an Ahsoka live action series, but also a Rebels sequel animated series that has Ahsoka in it too. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
That's just my opinion. I find it difficult to believe that.
But moving on. Then so here's another rumor that we've been telling you guys about. We heard about a Lando rumor, about a Lando series in the works that would maybe incorporate Billy D. Williams and Donald Glover, and that we would see an older version and a younger version, like an older version like telling stories of his younger adventures, right? Yeah. It's kind of the idea that we've heard in the rumors. Well, guess what? There's a Lando series.
Oh yeah.
And not a whole lot known about this just yet. It says everyone's favorite scoundrel Lando Calrissian will return in a brand new event series for Disney+. And this is going to be by Justin Simeon. He's the creator of the critically acclaimed Dear White People, and a huge Star Wars fan is developing the story. So
interesting.
I don't know. That's all there really is to it.
Yeah, there's nothing to say about it.
It doesn't even say Billy D. Williams or Donald Glover is a part of it.
Yeah, they never explain that. Well, what we know at the end of Rise of Skywalker is that he meets that other gal. I can't even remember the one that rides the robot dog or whatever it was. I don't know. Robot horse. I don't know.
Jaina.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. My point is what it could be, and this is complete sheer speculation, but like he's talking to her. And then, like, as he's talking to her, like, again, it flashes back to his younger days or something like that.
I think that would be cool.
That would be pretty cool. That would be pretty cool.
But for me, the event series, I don't know what that means.
I don't know what that means.
I don't really know what they mean by event series. Like, But anyways.
I can't really speculate on that either.
We'll have to just wait and see. But moving on past that, We have Andor.
Yeah, so finally something.
Finally got a name for this series. We don't have to call it the Cassian Andor show or whatever we've called it in the past.
Now we can call it the Andor show. So take away one word.
They said Andor is a tense, nail-biting spy thriller created by Tony Gilroy. Is set to arrive on Disney Plus in 2022.
Which is interesting. That's a little bit later than we thought was going to come. But anyway.
Yeah. Yes, it is a little later because this has been, guys, they've been talking about this show forever. Yeah. So there's something like massive going on outside. Going on.
Those sirens are heavy and there's been going on for a while now.
There's like tons of sirens outside. Yeah. Something horrible
guys,
is going on.
If the world's ending right now, we appreciate you. We love you. Tell my mother I loved her.
It's unfortunate we didn't live long enough to see Kenobi, but
it's like I will stop this world, the ending of this world with my bare hands.
But as they said, it kicked off like 3 weeks ago, production, as we had reported.
Yeah.
And so, besides that, I don't really have a whole lot to say about this.
Now, I will say they have some cast members announced, which is pretty cool. Stellan Skarsgård, which that's pretty cool, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Adria Arjona, Fiona Shaw, Denise Gao, Kyle Soller, and Genevieve O'Reilly as Mon Mothma, which is pretty cool. Which I think we kind of knew about that a little bit.
We reported about Mon Mothma and Stellan Skarsgård both.
Yeah.
But it's been a while since we talked about it. But yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess the series is still happening. I'm a little shocked. I was kind of starting to wonder if this was
even
going to
happen anymore.
This wasn't going to happen, but it did. So let's move on. Yeah. Now, this is the one I am most excited about, besides from Kenobi. Kenobi, of course, is my number one. But
this is a huge shocker for us.
Yeah, so
huge shocker.
We've been talking about, and rumors about, a female-focused martial arts style show. We were speculating maybe Dr. Aphra, and that it was going to be created by Leslie Headland.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we've been talking about this for a while. Yeah. Well, we got the answer for what this is, and it's crazy that these sirens are still going.
It's like, what's happening, bro?
But
if you guys can hear this right now, you'd actually probably be worried for us a little bit.
They might be able to hear it. I don't know. But it's just really distracting.
Oh, the dog's got it.
I feel like I should call my family, make sure everyone's okay. That's what my mom would do right now.
Yeah. Stop the production.
Anytime there's sirens, my mom would be like, call me and be like, are you okay?
It's like I'm literally in the next room, but
So anyways, this Leslie Headland was the creator of the series Russian Doll on Netflix, which was a hugely popular, successful show. And they're bringing her into Star Wars now. And with the Acolyte, okay?
Very interesting.
Let me read this for you.
Yeah.
The Acolyte is a mystery thriller, which that's just cool. Mystery thriller.
Exactly.
That will take the audience into a galaxy of shadowy secrets and emerging dark side powers in the final days of the High Republic era. You bunch of filthy liars!
Liars! My bad.
Bunch of filthy liars.
Seriously. No, this is not going to be anything other than this publishing series. No games, nothing.
They've told us over and over again, this is a publishing effort only.
We already knew that there's liars whenever they talked about the stories of Beyond the Outer Rim, Galaxy's Edge thing on the VR, and like how there's going to include Yoda in the High Republic. I'm like, oh, you guys were already liars, and now they're making a show about it. Are you kidding me? I mean, now don't get me wrong, I'm excited.
I am so excited.
I'm excited. But
so
really?
let's talk about this for a minute. Mm-hmm. So the Acolyte, takes the audience into a galaxy of shadowy secrets and emerging dark side powers in the final days of the High Republic era. My first question to you: what is the final days of the High Republic era?
Yeah, I don't know. Obviously, my opinion after the events of this great, what do they call it? The great event, the great. Whatever, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Whatever it's called, right? This great cataclysm.
Is it the Great Disaster?
Yes, the Great Disaster. Yeah, what's most easy? I say cataclysm, but I didn't say disaster. Anyway, the Great Disaster. I think that's going to culminate into something, and the resolution of that might be the end of the High Republic. Obviously, we know that also the Nile are playing a part in this. I don't know to what degree. Yeah. I know that there is some dark side users playing to this. We have no clue yet. But yeah, I definitely think that the end of this will probably be the conjunction, or the end, should I say not the conjunction, the resolution of the great disaster. I think at the end of this is going to be the end. Now, what time frame that is, I have no clue. But
I'm going to go ahead and throw out what I think this might be.
Okay, go ahead.
So let's look at the end of the High Republic era. So an era has to be at least like 100 years, right? We're 200 years before
250, I believe, right? For the end of
something like that.
200, 250, it doesn't matter, whatever.
So yeah, we're around that before the Phantom Menace, right?
Yeah.
So let's just say let's say 100 years has gone through the High Republic era, and now they're calling it. Let's call it the prequel era. Okay.
Sure. Yeah.
And,
the pre-prequel era.
Yeah.
Whatever that.
And yeah, because it's uncertain just how long a time span that can be. But let's say we're getting closer to the prequel era now, like within 100 years or so. Let's say that.
Yeah.
Could that mean that through this we kind of start to get the origins of Plagueis?
Ooh. Yeah.
And
I think that could definitely be,
because if you look at this again, true. It says we'll take the audience to a galaxy of shadowy secrets and emerging dark side powers. Emerging dark side powers.
That was coming to the
because
front,
as you know,
right?
High Republic has been all about the Jedi. The Sith and dark side is almost non-existent at this point, right?
Right.
They're in hiding, but here, emerging dark side powers.
Yeah.
To me, that could very well mean the beginnings of Darth Plagueis and maybe even Palpatine in a sense. So I don't think they're the main characters of this.
No, I don't think so either.
As the rumors have suggested, this is a female main character.
Yeah, I do remember that.
If the rumors were correct, this is a female character that it focuses on. But what if
Palpatine's a girl?
No, that's not what I was going with.
Surprise.
Anyway. No. What if maybe we're going to get Plagueis' master and maybe it's a female?
Ooh, that would be interesting. Yeah. And I would say, like, you know, and they're like, oh man, that's 100, 150 years or whatever, right? That's a long time. Like, but we know that Plagueis was able to steal the lives of other people and extend his life, so that's not impossible.
Plagueis is also he is a different species.
So they could age differently too.
Yeah, well, I mean, who knows? They might live for hundreds of years.
Yeah,
he's not a human. So that being said,
so we don't really know the full extent of his species, because technically, like, it's not even canon what he is anymore.
But just the potential with this, okay. Is
amazing, insane.
Yeah. And think about it this way. There's a good chance we're going to get a bunch of Jedi in this too.
Yeah. That's very, very strong potential.
And maybe some of the Jedi that we're going to learn about through these books. And this is just so exciting.
Yeah, I mean, the possibilities that what this brings is insane.
For me, this is what I'm most excited for.
Yeah. In the upcoming time, besides Kenobi.
and this is one of the new announcements, right?
Right, yeah. Absolutely.
Kenobi,
now,
Andor, we already knew about those. So
right, so now our kind of final question regarding the series is, anyways, it comes from Brandon Dukes, and he says, based on what we know from the High Republic thus far, how do you think the Acolyte is going to affect the Jedi Order and the Republic? So that's a good question. So, I mean, I will say, obviously, at the end of the day, we know that it affects them negatively because it's A, the end of the High Republic era, and B, as we know in the prequel trilogy, the Jedi Order falls, right? So to whatever extent that happens, it is a negative thing.
Well, and let's look at it this way. We know there's an ancient, some kind of ancient, like, shrine, Sith shrine underneath the Jedi Temple.
Yeah.
What if we get the origins of that?
That would be pretty sick.
Where this group or whoever is a part of this maybe is kind of creates that, and that starts to seed into the dark side. Kind of starts to create its little hole there, and creates the seed that starts the corruption of the Jedi Order.
Well, and I don't know if this is quite canon. It used to be canon where the the Jedi had become so kind of arrogant that they intentionally built the Jedi Temple over the Sith shrine. Gotta be careful there. Anyway,
well, this is a kid-friendly show,
sorry.
man. Calm down.
Sith shrine. Pardon moi. Excuse my French. Anyway,
sorry, kiddos.
Anyway, but you see what I'm saying, though. You know, I don't know if they're making that canon anymore, but they had intentionally built that. But yeah, I mean, regardless, if that was the origins of that shrine, that would be pretty sick. Of course, like I said, anytime it just deals with the dark side, it deals with the
I'm
Force
looking at
all.
it right now to see what's still canon.
Yeah, but
before the rise of the modern Galactic Republic, the ancient Sith Lords built a Sith shrine on Coruscant. The Jedi Order later constructed the Jedi Temple over the shrine, hoping to neutralize its dark energies. Oh,
so there's so it wasn't really arrogance. They were just trying to think like, oh, well, this will neutralize it. So
okay, so actually that happened 5 millennia before the rise of the Empire. So okay, so that everything we just said, forget.
Yeah, yeah, that's a little further away than the High Republic. 5 millennia. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
a little
that happened a long time ago, but it doesn't mean they won't utilize it potentially.
Well, maybe the Acolyte, whatever, they try to reawaken the shrine, right? They're using the dark side to reawaken shrine and weaken the Jedi from within. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. And let's also just explain the word acolyte for those who may not know. An acolyte is a person assisting the celebrant in a religious service or procession.
Which we do know the Sith Eternal, right? That's a thing, and apparently, according to the lore, that's been a thing for a long time, right? So it's entirely possible.
So potentially, yeah. So potentially this could maybe be about someone who is serving someone like Plagueis. You know what I mean?
It's not really like Plagueis that's in the forefront of the story.
Because it's called the Acolyte.
Right.
And that's essentially what the Acolyte, in my opinion, would be, is someone who is, like it says here, a person assisting in a religious service or procession, an assistant or follower.
Yeah.
So that's something to be thinking about there.
Yeah, absolutely. But man, there's so much there, so much potential, and we have no clue.
We have no clue, but we're going to be continuing to talk about it, of course. And I think now we have to, as we're reading these High Republic books and comics, we have to start looking out for the very first initial beginning of this, because I think they're going to tease it.
Oh, 100%
in these novels somehow now. So
yeah.
So let's move on. We have Star Wars: The Bad Batch. So they actually showed a trailer for this.
Yeah, they did.
And, if we had more time, we'd do like a trailer breakdown, but we don't really have more time.
We've already been going for an hour and 6.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, it's kind of a miracle that we've gotten through it in an hour and 6. I kind of wondered if it would actually take us way longer.
Yeah.
Because there's just so much to talk about. But The Bad Batch is they have a trailer, so you can go check that out. It was cool that they actually showed a trailer for this. But
I agree.
This is the next thing we're getting, right?
Yeah.
Do you agree with me on that?
I was always under the presumption that it was happening like spring 2021.
Yeah, like we're getting this pretty soon.
Yeah.
And here's what I'll say about it. This trailer gave me high hopes.
Yeah,
because
I thought it was
because
pretty
what
good.
this trailer does is it shows like this feels like an exact continuation of Clone Wars in a good way, and to me, like, this trailer is dark.
Yeah,
this trailer,
I agree.
This trailer is not. They're not all goofing off and like being silly. Like, this trailer shows the darkness of Order 66 has just happened. The Emperor has taken over, and all this stuff. And
it's like, and the Republic shall be reorganized into the First Galactic Empire.
And we see the Bad Batch here. It looks like maybe they're trying to almost be like undercover, like they're trying to pretend like they are along for the ride. And so that'll be interesting to see how all that plays out.
And there was definitely, like, with Butch or whatever his name is, I don't know, the big one, like he definitely has some like kind of goofy like moments in the trailer. So I have no doubt that it'll still exist, unfortunately, since they set that precedence.
I mean,
but I'm hoping that due to the traumaticness of Order 66 that they did, it's not as much, right?
Right. I mean, in the end, this is still the animated offering. This is the closest thing to a kids show that they're showing.
Yeah.
Exactly. Well, except there's a couple more, I guess, that we're about to talk about. But like, But anyways, I think that there's a lot of hope for this show. I think it could be really good.
I agree.
Going on from there, we got Star Wars Visions, which is actually going to be a series of animated short films celebrating Star Wars through the lens of the world's best anime creators. The anthology collection will bring 10 fantastic visions from several of the leading Japanese anime studios, offering a fresh and diverse cultural perspective to Star Wars.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm pretty excited about this because Andrew's not really into anime, but I am. I've always really enjoyed, maybe not all of it, but certain shows.
So you're right. You're right. This isn't necessarily for me, but I do know there's a large audience for anime.
Oh yeah.
And I do know there's a lot of people that have been asking for Star Wars to do anime.
Yeah.
And so with that being said, I'm excited for those that are finally getting it. And I'm going to watch it.
Yeah,
because
for sure.
I watch everything and I consume everything Star Wars.
Right.
So, and maybe they'll get me on it and I'll be excited. But, I think there is potential to do some like really cool, like High Republic stuff in this. Like it's an anthology, so it could be they could tell all kinds of different eras and stuff.
Well, here's what I'll say is that with anime, if you watch anime, one hallmark of anime is A, the animation's beautiful for a lot of shows, but B, anime is home to a lot of shows is home to some of the most bombastic, crazy fight scenes that you've ever seen in your life. Like the way, because they're they're drawing it and stuff like that, so they can do whatever they want, right? But like I've seen some of the best fight scenes I've ever seen is in an anime, whatever that may be, right? Different shows and stuff. But I love the idea of having some crazy Jedi battles and stuff like that, like with like crazy awesome choreography and stuff like that. Since it's all gonna be drawn out and stuff like that. So I don't know. That's what I'm most hoping.
Yeah,
for,
well, an anime is always like exaggerated, right? So,
exactly.
So like the fight scenes with like between, let's say, a Jedi and Sith could be pretty crazy.
Yeah, precisely.
And so yeah, I'm sure they'll be cool.
Yeah.
We didn't get a time span on that or anything.
Yeah, nothing at all on that one.
But we'll update you guys as we know. And then finishing out, we have A Droid Story. And it says Lucasfilm Animation will be teaming up with Lucasfilm's visual effects team, Industrial Light and Magic, to develop a special Star Wars adventure for Disney Plus, A Droid Story. This epic journey will introduce us to a new hero, guided by legendary duo R2-D2 and C-3PO.
So yeah, I mean, that's going to be pretty fun. I don't know necessarily that that's going to be like the greatest thing since sliced bread.
I think this is definitely meant for kids. I think they're really focusing on kids for this one.
Yeah. A lot of the stuff that they released is not geared towards kids, which in my opinion was pretty good. But
I mean, I'm
definitely.
I think this is one of them that is directed towards kids. This Droid Story.
At least it's something very lighthearted, not directly impingent to the lore and the universe. Like it's just kind of a fun thing, like C-3PO and the R2-D2 is going to have adventures.
And to me, it almost sounded like maybe this was going to be like a movie.
Yeah, it did. It definitely
maybe
did.
Not like a 2-hour long movie, but maybe something on a shorter, like a short.
How do they
film
word it here? They said so to develop a special Star Wars adventure. So one thing that they had, and this is may not be it at all, but one thing that they have been doing in Netflix that I felt like Disney Plus would totally want to jump on was these direct to consumer, like, that's not the right word I'm trying to say, but basically it's like a movie or something, but you play it, right? Like you choose different things. It's an adventure type based thing.
Oh yeah.
And I feel like this could definitely be a Disney Plus version of that with C-3PO and R2-D2, and they go on these adventures.
That would be a cool idea. And it does say this epic journey will introduce us to a new hero. Maybe the new hero is you as the person who's, and it says guided by legendary. That could very well be something.
I feel like that could be it.
But yeah, and another thing to kind of to maybe prove some of that is as it says here. It says it's an intersection with animation and visual effects.
Right.
So it's Lucasfilm Animation, who has created things such as Clone Wars, is teaming up with Industrial Light and Magic, who's done stuff like the VR games.
Yep, exactly.
Right? We're getting this like combination here. So you very well may be onto something there.
And I don't know, I have nothing to prove that, but when I first watched the announcement, like that's immediately what my mind went to. Yeah. I thought that's what it was.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
So
I hadn't even thought about that. That's cool. That could very well be it. But that is it. The last thing I would like to say before we go today, first of all, wow.
so much
stuff.
I'm sorry. I have one more question.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And so let's talk about this. JB says, "What are your thoughts on the amount of material we are getting from Disney Plus? I don't think any of this could have been possible if it were not for the huge success of The Mandalorian. Could Favreau have rescued the Star Wars franchise? And do you think it was done for the die-hard Star Wars fans. So we're kind of running low on time here, but there's kind of like 2 points I want to address here, and then I'll bounce back with Andrew. First thing is, do you think it could have been possible if not for the huge success of Mandalorian? Absolutely not. My opinion is that after we saw what happened with the sequels, the main Disney branch that had control over this, right? They're like, ooh, let's step back. Ooh, people didn't like it. Ooh, let's take our time. And then all of a sudden, Favreau and Filoni came in and be like, well, let's go ahead and let's just start producing this show and kind of convince Kennedy that we should do this. Because like I said, it was stated that they kind of wanted to step back, reevaluate, realign, and then come back to it. And like I said, and the only thing that we knew about at that time was a possible movie coming in the next movie, which was possibly 2022 or 2023. I don't think personally that if it wasn't for the success of The Mandalorian, that they would have pursued all of these things, right? And that's just, again, my opinion, but Disney's a corporation. They're highly driven by money, as we know. So I do think, if anything, the success of The Mandalorian absolutely played a huge part into it. One thing I do want to say, though, I'll say that. I'll bounce to you first. So what are your thoughts on that? Do you think that we would have gotten all this if it wasn't for The Mandalorian, or do you think they just they always kind of had plans for this?
No, I think it's definitely based off the success of The Mandalorian, because, as you said, like they took a step back after Rise of Skywalker, right. and so they've had about a year of deciding where to go next, right?
And they still haven't figured it out.
Or actually more than a year, because the movie, of course, was finished before that. But so they've been trying to figure out what they wanted to do, and they said, hey, in my opinion, this is what kind of went down. The Mandalorian is doing well. Now, the second season is, of course, doing well. And I think they and with this year, as crazy as it's been, theaters are pretty much basically dead this year.
Yeah.
I think Disney Plus has been the platform to go with for all this stuff, and they've just decided to let's just do it. Let's go full force.
Yeah.
And we're still going to have a theatrical movie in the future, but right now let's focus and put everything we got into Disney Plus, and let's make some good Star Wars content.
Sure.
And that's what we're getting. So.
Yeah, 100% agree. Now, I want to address the second part that I thought was, about that question I wanted to hit on was, what are your thoughts on the amount of material we are getting from Disney Plus? And this could be a really long discussion, and I really do have to quit, but I did want to say this.
Yeah, I still have one more question I want to ask you too.
Oh, so. Okay. So I'll be quick on this. Okay. And then we'll bounce. Let's just be brief.
All right.
But I admit I'm so excited. Let me phrase it this. I'm very excited for what we're getting, but I admit I am a little worried that with so many projects over the next couple of years that they might stretch themselves a little too thin, and that, sometimes you need the saying quality over quantity, right? And we're getting a lot of quantity. Mandalorian was so good because that was the only thing that they were working on. And I know different teams work on different things, obviously, right? But my opinion, I think, whenever you had one team, that was fully funded, fully powered by Disney and Lucasfilm, and they were just working on that. That's why we got 2 amazing seasons in a row. But now that we're working on almost 12 different things now over the next 4 years, it is a little worrisome to me that, like, I'm just saying, I'm hoping that it doesn't affect the quality of what we get, especially on some shows like we want to see, like Ahsoka, Acolyte, etc., especially Kenobi. But what's your thoughts?
Well, let's say we're getting like 3 a year, maybe 4 for some years. I think that can be okay if they're spaced out enough, and most of these shows that we're looking at aren't going to be that long, right?
Sure.
They're going to be probably, a lot of them are going to be like 8 episodes at the most, right? Kind of like Mandalorian.
Excuse me, we know with Ahsoka it says a limited series, so yeah,
right.
For sure.
And so with all that being said, it's probably not even going to take up that much time out of a year. So I think it's going to be okay. I think if we had much more than this, then I'd start to be like, ooh, maybe this is a little too much. But I think that they can make this work and make it work well, and have enough space to let it fill out. And so I'm excited about it. What was that question?
What do you mean?
What was the exact question again?
But what are your thoughts on the amount of material we're getting from Disney
Okay,
Plus?
so I answered it. Yeah,
pretty much. So first of all, JB, thanks for the question. But I mean, I think that kind of covers it. I think that it could be a little worrisome, but I do have faith in the team.
I mean, sure, it's always a little. I mean, based off what some of the, in my opinion, failures of what Lucasfilm has done so far with Star Wars, it is a little worrisome, right? I mean, some of these things that we're getting, Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau hands are not even on it, right?
Most of them.
And what I think a lot of why we love what we've gotten from Mandalorian is because they're so involved. Some of the stuff they're not involved in.
Yeah.
And
Kenobi, for instance.
Kenobi is actually a good example of that, and the Acolyte, and the next movie and stuff, and so that's a little worrisome. Sure. But only time will tell.
Yeah.
But I have one last question before we get off.
Let's do it.
What rumored series that we've been talking about didn't show up today?
Oh, let's think here.
Because I think that's something else to consider here. So one big one I can think of.
Yeah, I think we're thinking the same one.
Is Boba Fett.
Yep.
We've talked about. We've even had some casting for it.
Yeah.
And yet, not shown at all.
Nothing was said whatsoever.
I have a theory. I don't think they want to reveal this yet because Boba is still in The Mandalorian.
Yeah, you don't want to take away from what's going to happen. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think because he's involved in Mandalorian right now, they did not want to reveal it.
Yeah.
I personally think this is still happening, and we're getting it within the time period of now between 2023.
Yeah.
And I do still believe it's a prequel.
Yeah,
I think that's the reason why they didn't show it.
I'm not gonna speak anything into existence here, but could it be that they're waiting because they know that they're gonna give him a triumphant end, so to speak, in this season?
I hope not.
I hope not, but I'm just saying, what if? And then now everyone's sad that Boba's gone, but but wait, there's more.
They just brought him back. I think that'd be crazy to kill him off.
Yeah, I agree. I'm just saying,
see what you're saying,
but
though,
you see what I'm saying? I could see in the eyes of the corporate folk that they're like, well, we'll wait, because then when everybody's all sad, they're like, but wait, there's more. Well, now we can go back to hear story, post episode 6, but before The Mandalorian. I hope that doesn't happen, but
so that's one.
So that's the main one I can think of.
I can think of another one, the Rebels sequel that we talked about earlier.
True.
No signs of that. I'm starting to wonder if that maybe isn't necessarily real, and that the Ahsoka spinoff is kind of the Rebels sequel.
Yeah.
But again, I guess only time will tell with that. But I'm starting to have doubts that that's even real.
Yeah, especially but the thing with the name drop of Thrawn, something has to be concluded there. But yeah, I mean, it very well could be possible, especially since they didn't announce it at Investor Day that we're going to be seeing that completed through Ahsoka, the series. But it blows my mind to think that they're going to wrap up the whole story in just a limited series. You know what I'm saying? But
yeah, it seems like a bigger story, right?
You think so?
And then the High Republic animated series we discussed.
True.
Which maybe they mistaken that for the live action thing. That
makes sense to me.
Is there any other rumored shows that we've talked about that you can think of that did not make an appearance here?
We talked about so many.
Honestly, we've talked most. I mean, it's crazy. Is a lot of these rumors we talked about all came true today.
True. Yeah. Lando series.
A lot of the stuff we've been debating about, talking about, has only been confirmed today. So. That goes to show, guys, don't discredit the rumor section of the show, because if you guys have been paying attention to our rumor section, you guys were probably not too surprised by a lot of this today.
Yeah, it wasn't a huge shocker for at least some of you. Yeah,
but overall, I'm so excited about the future of Star Wars. You and me are going to be busy for the next couple of years.
Very
for sure.
Busy. Very busy.
We're going to have a lot to do here, so stick with us at Jedi Eternal.
Yeah, I'm excited, man. The future is bright for Star Wars. I was honestly, and I gotta go. I keep saying that, and I have more things to say, but I'll be honest. I'll be very transparent.
He's got his sister's birthday party to go to.
I know. Well, I gotta be a good brother, I guess, right? I was being be very transparent. Is that at the end of Rise of Skywalker, right? Star Wars has been me and Andrew's thing for a very long time, and whenever it ended, I was super excited to watch episode 9 and the climactic end and all stuff like that, barring some of my disappointments of that movie within itself. I was like very disappointed and kind of like, not gonna say like I was depressed, but I was like kind of like, you know, sullen the next couple of days. I'm like, man, Star Wars is over, right? Star Wars is over.
Yeah.
And I felt like a part of me died with Andrew. It's like that Star Wars part of me and him just died.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
No, I'm just joking. But to some degree, you know what I'm saying. I was just kind of joking with that. But you know, like that's something me and you have shared for a long time, and now I felt like that was dead. It was gone. But I'm happy to say that is not true. That is not true.
And you know, and we talked about at the beginning of this podcast the future of Star Wars.
Yeah, that was the first episode.
And that was the first episode.
Yeah.
And I don't even remember what we said. But here we are, and we have literally seen the future of Star Wars.
The future is bright.
And there's lots to come. So
future's so bright, gotta wear shades, baby. Anyway. Well, we want to thank everybody so very much for your guys' continued support towards this podcast, and we absolutely look forward to hearing from you. Do want to say real quick, if you were hearing this and you're wondering where the Mandalorian review is for this week for Chapter 15, know that it is on a separate little bit. We kind of talked about at the beginning of this episode, but I want to remind you that there's going to be a separate little like sub episode that we're going to be posting.
Yeah.
So keep your eyes out for that.
Yeah, and next week will be the review of the finale of the Mandalorian.
So that's going to be the main episode, of course.
Yeah.
So, but without further ado, we just ask that you guys would like and follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all those different places for weekly news, polls, discussions, and more. Like I said, also follow us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, and leave a review. We'd absolutely love to hear a review from you guys. Many of you have, and we're appreciative, but we hope that any of you other ones that haven't would do so. But we just thank you for listening, and we hope that you join us next week for episode 43. But last but not least, yes, it's getting close. Getting up there.
Getting up there.
Last but not least, may the Force be with you, and we thank you for joining the Jedi Eternal.